Hello out there, and welcome to another episode of Let Me Say This. I'm with, hold up, cut. Hello out there, and welcome to another episode of Let Me Say This. I will be Anthony Lights, and I'm with the phenomenal Raphael Rhodes, and the also unpredictable Roger Davis. And I want to start the show off by sending my condolences to the family, friends, and colleagues of the late Mike Patrick, as he's recently just passed away. Little history of Mike Patrick: he was the lead announcer on ESPN Sunday Night Football from 1987 to 2005. Before Sunday Night Football, as we know it this day, is on NBC. And one of my most fondest memories of Mike Patrick is he called the game, a significant game, all the way back in the grand year of 2008, back in September. It was a game known as the Blackout Game, Alabama versus Georgia, and I highlight that game because that was one of the biggest games in the early stages of the dynasty, and he was a part of that game. So, and I remember that memory as well. Alabama came out with the victory, as we all know. But to highlight all the talent in that game, of course, you start with Julio Jones, AJ Green, Noshawn Marino, who went on to be a part of one of the best offenses in the Denver Broncos, and of course Matthew Stafford, number one overall pick in the following year's draft. So here at Let Me Say This, want to send our finest condolences to the family, friends, and colleagues of Mike Patrick. So how you guys doing today?
Good, man. How you guys doing?
I'm great. I'm great. And I told you, depending on my mood, I was last night's game with the Lakers. That was going to be my panic level. I would say I'm at one, honestly, because the way they shot the ball from three was still kind of alarming. Like, you're gonna need shots to fall in on the road if you're gonna win playoff, especially playoff games. But last night that game was it was slow. That's playoff basketball in a nutshell. Like, hey, just get the win by all means. Now we move on to game three. See, can we get the home court back and then go from there? So that's all I really got. But like I said, my panic meter was at a one. Now if they would have went down 0-2, I probably would have been at like a six or something. Probably would just hit my on the off camera. I don't even want to be seen, but I want to hear you guys' insight on how you saw that game play out last night.
Greg, go ahead. You can start.
Last night, was just to me, watching objectively as a fan of just a fan of the game. I thought it was just really good to see Luca get off to a hot start, get started pretty well in the first quarter, get his team pretty much put on his back, and that's kind of what you expect in your stars. Like you said, a lot of shots didn't fall, and I thought that the lead that they kind of created in the first quarter didn't really expand the way that we kind of saw OKC's lead expand the other night against the Grizzlies. So, like you said, it's not alarming. You expect it right now to beat the Timberwolves. You're beating the Timberwolves. I don't feel like they're doing it very convincingly, which to the point that you're making, I think is going to uh, arise with challenges as they get deeper in the playoffs and they play some more challenging teams with some better coaching. Uh, when you don't have those shots falling, you don't have that rhythm, and you're traveling, you're taking days off between games and things like that, and you're playing the same teams over and over. Uh, you have to have that rhythm early, often. You have to get it going. You have to be able to sustain that throughout the game to make sure.
I got the notification saying the recording stopped
Okay.
due to an
If
incoming
nothing
call.
else, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Handle that. No, I'll just play. You good? You good?
somebody called me and I couldn't stop it. But I just think you got to have that rhythm, especially in the playoffs. It's really really important. I think coaching wise, I think JJ Redick has done everything throughout the season, and he'll continue to make adjustments throughout the playoffs. You'll see a lot of things happen in the playoffs. So, kind of like you said, 2 or 3 games is kind of tough in a series to panic, but I did like to see them bounce back last night.
I'm actually going to go. As much as I agree with you guys about the playoffs, I do want to touch up on just the fact that I pointed out about a week ago, where teams 2 through 8 in the West are so close together that these series can go either way, and we're kind of seeing it. To your point, with the Lakers and the Timberwolves, I mean they're tied at 1 right now. It's probably going to turn out to be one of the better series of the postseason. And Luca finally showed up last night and dropped 31 points. But even with that, they only won by 9. So you're looking at a pretty closely contested series there that I think is going to come out. It's going to go to at least 6. In my opinion. I mean, and if Luca plays the way he did last night, I mean, he had 31 points and 12 rebounds and 9 assists. If he plays the same kind of game that he did last night as opposed to game 1, then you're looking at the Lakers can sit there and probably take the series in 6. But if the Timberwolves come out and they play like they did in game 1, then you're looking at a much closer series that could probably go to 7.
I think this is going to be one of these seesaw series, honestly. Hey, we got this game, they got this game, they got this game, we got that game next on until the final game, which
And
we're
then
going to have
home court.
Yeah.
Home
We're going
court's
to have
going to
home court.
play a major factor.
Yeah. Yeah, so I see the floor as a 6-game series, and the ceiling, obviously, you can't go past 7. So the ceiling is a 7-game series.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
could see the Lakers pulling it off in 6 if Doncic plays the way he did last night. But if they struggle at all and they start, missing shots and not making them,
Yeah, I don't think
you're
Austin
looking
Reeves
at
goes over 6. Yeah, I don't think Austin Reeves goes over. He might have some other bad shooting guys, but I don't think he just goes where he's 0 for 6 from the field. And the rest of this series, like, I don't see that. Even the Timberwolves shot bad. Like, they went 5 for 25. On both teams, 11 of 53. I don't think we'll ever see nothing like that for the rest of this series. So I think it's just one of those games. Like, hey man, like I said, just go out there and get the win, man. And then like some of the looks, it ain't like you just shooting contested step back threes and stuff like that. Some of the shots are just open; they just not falling. So they'll fall over time. So that's all I got.
It's just they're streaky. It's just you got to be on the streak.
Yeah, that's all.
That's pretty much it.
So yeah, I do like this series will be competitive, and then another series I don't think it's far less competitive. And then like even OKC, like Grizzlies fighting back, they got within like I want to say at least between 8 to 12 points, but it's just like OKC just turned it back up on them and back up by 20. So I think this is probably going to be one of the quicker series in the first round, outside of maybe Boston and Orlando.
I think that'll be. I think that'll be my only place where I would actually disagree with Raphael, that the closeness of one. Well, and I know this is 1 and 8, but this is where I have to disagree about the closeness of 1 and 8 and some of the other teams. Really, even 1 and 2, to be honest, in my opinion, in the West, and then it's the rest of the field. When you look at the series with OKC and Memphis, and I think with Memphis it's more about coaching, kind of what's going on behind the scenes, some of the depth that they're missing, some of their and very important rotation players are playing somewhere else now, and being very successful doing that. That's something I'm really looking at. I think we talked about it last week when we talked about the play-in games. Memphis is headed for an uphill battle. It's sometimes you have to fall on the sword and just take the stab wound. And last week was their opportunity to do so. Competitive nature, not taking the fall, and never want any professional team to take a dive or anything like that. But sometimes it's better to lick your wounds. Go take your ball, go run. Go play another time. Come back with next season when you're healthy. You got a coach. You went and acquired some depth. You made a good pick in the draft. But OKC right now, as far as in that series, they're just head and shoulders a bit. They're better than Memphis all around, and I think that speaks more to their team than their stars. I think as an overall team, from probably 1 to 7, maybe 8 guy, the 8th guy off the bench, they can just flat out play basketball.
Yeah, I think because I even stated, and when I stated that point last week, I also said that Oklahoma City in the West they're kings of the West. I don't see anybody really holding up with them unless they have a bad game. Mm-hmm. But if you look for 2 through 8, I mean, it's pretty closely contested. Actually, I would say I would change that to 2 through 7 because the Grizzlies are just playing terrible basketball. They're fielding a team, or they got a team on the court simply because they got a team on the court. It's almost like they could pick a fan and you could play point guard for the night. And you got John Morant, who's constantly getting in trouble for doing his celebrations. All the heat's on them for the wrong reasons.
Just lost monetization.
They're not
making that, by the way.
Yeah, but they're not scoring points. But it's still bringing unnecessary heat. They fired a coach. They fired GMs. Like, they have a lot of issues in Memphis that go beyond just the play on the court, and I think it's just showing on the court. Yeah. If you ask me, I think Oklahoma City is just a runaway team. But 2 through 7, you have a much closer gap, and you have tightly contested series either way. I don't
I
think
wanna
I don't think Memphis is going to do that.
I want to point out that the number one reason that, and I know, and I'm thinking about it as you're saying that the number one reason that we're even remotely saying that seven is close to the rest of the teams, and I really, now that I'm thinking about it, like six, seven, and eight are nowhere near the rest. The closest five through one, but the reason that we have seven as close as we do is because of 30. If 30 isn't on
Yeah,
that team, then and we watched 30 for the last couple of years just to talk about, and I want to segue to that series. That series, for one, is going to be far more competitive because of 30. That series is going to be far more entertaining because of 30. That is the number one series that I have my eyes set on, especially in the West, because I think that Houston's lack of experience overall, even with somebody very veteran savvy and Fred Van Vliet, I don't feel like the rest of the team has enough to string along, what it's going to take to make a deep playoff run. I think they play very well. They're coached very well, and it goes back to my original point with the Lakers series is that coaching is going to play very, very vital in these series. Who makes the best adjustments on the fly from game to game? How now, if you are the Rockets, they're through two games, right? Have they split that series already, or they're going into game two tonight?
It's game two
they're going
tonight.
into game 2 tonight.
Okay, and somebody just quickly give me some type of information about game one while I ramble. My point that I'm trying to make about what I did see of game one is these Rocket players are locked into a 7 game series with 30. They don't get to play him for one night and then go to the next city. Right now, they have to keep finding ways every night to stop him. And then not now you have to just worry about him. Now you got a guy in Jimmy Butler the third that is wreaking
Yeah.
havoc on just about every team. And
And I would even
that's with
say
respect to him.
Ime Udoka had a problem with a much more experienced team in Boston in the finals against Steph. And he had better defenders, you know what I'm saying? This team, like they play good defense, but I don't think it's nobody defensively on the Rockets team better than anybody on the Celtics team. At that team, we're not even talking about the team now, just that team that was in the finals. So he was having issues then. So I ain't gonna imagine, with the type of nightmares he's having putting together a game plan against Steph now. And then, like you said, this is not Steph out here solo, flying around solo like we seen, years past, like when Clay was down and stuff like that all the time. They was losing in play-in games. Now you got, like you said, a Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy, a guy who can, score 50 points in a playoff game as well
A
as Steph. So
defensive
it's just
player of
like,
the year.
yeah. So then you got Draymond Green, takes a little bit of burden off him defensively as well, because Jimmy Butler
A
is a pretty
healthy
solid defender.
Kaminga.
So and all types of, yeah. So like, I'm gonna be the hot take guy. I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors close this out in less than 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
ooh.
I like that.
I'm
That's a
gonna go
hot
to
take.
I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna be the one that go there just off experience alone. But I know as Dre alluded
But
to, it still has 7 game potential. But
it has potential, but to Dre's point, anytime you put the ball in Steph Curry's hands, it's going to be exciting. I mean,
Every
yeah,
time.
and just to Dre, you asked for a stat real quick. The Warriors ended up winning 95-85, so they won by
Mm-hmm.
10 points.
Right.
And Steph Curry led the scoring for the Warriors with 31 points in game
Mm-hmm.
1. I mean, he's averaging over 28 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the dude he's exciting with the basketball, and he has probably the prettiest shot that you've ever seen. It's just so natural. And anytime you put him on the court, and then you give him the supporting cast of a Jimmy Butler, and you have that Draymond Green, they're a threat. I don't care what they're rated at, because that's how they finish the season. Everybody knows, come the end of the season, how you finish the season doesn't matter. You're
Mm-hmm.
all
0-0.
0-0.
Yeah.
You're all 0-0 when you start the playoffs. And now they're starting the playoffs, and they're up 1-0. Can it end in 6? Yeah, but I think you're right. I think this has the potential to go to a full 7 games with a seesaw battle, because the Rockets, just the lack of experience in the playoffs, will show on the court.
Yeah.
Now, when they travel, I mean, that could be the shaky part.
Yeah. And,
I
and
want to more say in those tight moments they experience, that's well, because we know 30, like Steph, obviously a 4-time champion, a Finals MVP and stuff like that, been in big moments, whether it's regular season or postseason. So it's just like, that's gonna even Jimmy Butler. But go ahead, Drake.
I just wanted to point out before we move on away from that series that two key things that we just talked about that I think I'm glad that both of you said it instead of me because I wanted to come back and be able to tie it all in. Exactly the name that you just threw out, Ime Udoka, in his struggles a couple years ago with a much better team from the East against the same player. And then Raphael, you alluded to exactly what I wanted to hear, not the offensive stats from the Warriors, not what I already knew that 30 or Steph Curry was gonna do. The 85 points that the Rockets were held to is much, 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 much more important in this defensive minded playoff series that nobody's expecting from the Warriors. Nobody's looking at the Warriors and saying they play great defense. And now that they have Kaminga, Draymond, they have Dante DiVincenzo back here. No, they don't have DiVincenzo. They have what's his name?
Shinsky, I think, something like that.
Przinski. I might
Yeah.
be saying that wrong. But they have a lot of guys that like to play defense on that
But they
team.
have
They like
Butler
to play.
too, and Butler plays both
Yeah.
sides of the court.
Guys.
They like
Because
to.
you know what?
They have
That's what
guys
gets
that
you
like
on
to
the
play
floor. That's what
defense.
gets you on the floor as a young guy. You got to
Yes,
play defense. You got to
Yeah.
be able to play defense. And then especially like with a Steve Kerr who got that Popovich background, because that's what pop. Like how you think guys like Kawhi and DeJounte Murray when he was in San Antonio, they played defense and they
You
was
get
able to
on the
stay on the
floor
unless
by
floor.
playing defense.
Yeah.
unless you got a clean shot like Steph Curry, you're going to be a defensive player as a young
Yeah.
kid on the court for
Or
the first time.
or you spotting up in the corner on offense, waiting on that kick out to get the open corner three. I'm gonna go to you
And
guys. No, go ahead,
I
go ahead.
know we got what, one more series in the West to talk about. What's the
yep,
4-5
and
spot?
I
Yeah,
was just going to talk about it right now, and I'll tell you
let's go.
because Anthony
Denver
brought it
and
up,
Clippers.
and
Yeah.
it's a good transition because Kawhi Leonard scored 39 points and went
hmm
15 and 19 the last game against the Nuggets, and you're looking at a series that's probably going to go to 7.
I will
I
say,
mean, they're
go ahead, go ahead. I'm gonna let you go, but I'm gonna get in. Go ahead.
the games have been closely contested, and you're looking at the Clippers are going to keep it close with the Nuggets, even though you have Joker. You're playing Joker because really you have nobody else
Maybe
that's
a
going to make a
Westbrook.
name
I
for
know Westbrook
themselves.
shined in game one, but I will say, honestly, I feel like the Clippers should. I mean, being the lower seeded team playing on the road, you don't mind a split, but when you got a chance to go up 2-0, you got to. So I'm really shocked that the Clippers are not up 2-0 right now, given the circumstances that the Nuggets are in. You know what I'm saying, with the recently firing of the coach and the GM basically a week before the playoffs started.
Yeah. And
So I'm not.
that's a 1-1 split right now, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, it's
I give
and
that
the last game the Clippers won by 3.
I give that 1-1 split and the fact that this series is undoubtedly probably going to go 7 completely to the maturity of these two teams. These are two teams that have the depth, they have the maturity, they have the unselfish stars, they have the stars that have perfected their crafts on both sides. You have aging stars on both sides that have perfected their new roles. You have guys like James Harden and Kawhi Leonard with a resurgence in their career. You just alluded to Kawhi Leonard. I watched the game. He looked great. God, he looks a little
Mm-hmm.
thinner. He's moving very well. He's taking the same shots that you saw him taking. He's out there dropping 30 and 40 at the right time. As long as
Like
his
20
knees
shots.
can stay healthy, as long as his knees can stay intact and stay healthy, and James Harden can continue to distribute the ball the way that he has, get his numbers and facilitate the same way. Zubac has come alive and he's been a pivotal role or a pivotal player for them this year. And that's just on the Clippers side. On the Nugget side, Russell Westbrook coming off the bench, great. Jamal Murray's kind of finding his flow finally. Great. Aaron Gordon, we know what to expect from him. Michael Porter Jr., we know what to expect from here. Christian Braun, he's showing up every night. This is going to be a really good series. That's why I'm glad we kind of talked about that one last.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
this is one of
I think
these. It's tricky because go ahead, right here.
I was going to say I really think that one's going to go to 7. I think that one's going to be the one that goes all the way to 7, and there's not a question on that one. It's just a better series in the West.
I got another hot take. As a Laker fan who also like to trash the Clippers, the basement team of LA. They finally got out of the Staples Center, Crypto.com arena, whatever you want to call it. They got a nice little new arena. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Clippers win this in 6 games. And I'm also coming with another hot take. I feel like the Clippers floor, not the floor, I'm sorry, the ceiling, they have a Western Conference, they have Western Conference Finals DNA. I wouldn't be surprised if they get the upset in the next round. I hate looking ahead. I wouldn't be surprised if they get the upset in the next round and take down
I,
OKC in a
I
You
would
seven.
I
That's
wouldn't
you
gonna
be.
go 7 games.
you took the words right out of my mouth. That's
And then, like,
exactly
I know
what I
you
was
you
gonna say.
highlighted Harden, Kawhi, then Jamal Murray, but another guy, Norman Powell, a 28
Norman
game
Powell
scorer, should have
playing
been an All
great.
Star. Can
Yeah,
Norman Powell be the Jamal Murray for Kawhi and James Harden, like Jamal Murray was for Jokic and doing all those fine, fantastic playoff runs, rather?
yeah.
So, I
You took it right away from me. I was just about to come right behind you and say I really see the Clippers winning this in 6. And that's contradictory to what I just said a few weeks ago about my GOAT and Nikola Jokic and how I felt about him playing or, competing for the MVP. But I just see the Clippers taking this and the way that Kawhi played last night. I don't know, we still got a couple games ahead of us and, we'll have to sit back as fans and watch. But the way that I watched him play the other night, it's gonna be tough to anybody to stop him.
And they got a lead. They're up. They're tied right now, but they're going to play close, and
they got
they
a chance to go
split
up
the
3-1.
series.
They got a chance
Yeah.
to go up 3-1 before they go back to
Well,
Denver. Exactly.
with that
And
said,
they don't
with
have
that
Doc
said,
Rivers as the coach this time to blow the lead. So there's that.
right, right. With that said, when we move over to the Eastern Conference, there's 2 series that I think are going to be really good, and the other 2, I mean, we could just quickly touch on them. But the
I got
Cavs and
one
the
question.
Heat,
I was just about to
yeah,
get there. I was about to say, does one of them involve a potential fraud? But you touched it. Go ahead.
yeah, the Cavs and the Heat. I mean, right now, the separation between the Cavs and the Celtics, and then everybody else, is just kind of far out there. And the Cavs and the Heat, to me, is that's going to be in 5 at
Mm-hmm.
best,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be the Cavs because they blew them away by 21 points.
I know this y'all team.
Donovan.
I know this y'all team. But I'm gonna say this: it's different from years past. But Miami Heat is like, I know they say, like Bill Parcells said, you are what your record says you are. But I know Miami Heat for a fact is not a normal 8 seed. That is not
No,
a.
they're
That
not.
is not one of those. That is not one of those. Oh, we just gloss over this. They'll probably take a game on us, and then we barely break a sweat, or we break minimal sweat, and then a nice little breeze, and then we go on to the next way. No, this is something like, as we seen a couple years back when the Heat were an 8 seeded team, how they took down Milwaukee, even though Giannis missed a game or two with that injury, but still, it's just the Heat
But
culture that is real. That Heat culture is real. That's
yeah,
all I'm gonna say.
but being a Heat fan and being part of the Heat culture, we like to fold in the playoffs. So
Also a true
we
statement.
like to fold in the playoffs too, and especially when we have really Tyler Hero as our star, Bam Abadeo. We need some more star power, and Pat Riley needs to start paying some big bucks to bring some stars into Miami, which is an
I guess
attractive place to play.
I'm
yeah.
glad you
I
brought
guess
that
that's
up, because
a
Dre, go ahead and what
I was gonna
we
say,
discussed last night.
so I'm gonna speak on this and then I'm also gonna handle the transition into another series because I got a lot
I
on
know where we going.
I
I
got a
know what I
lot on
gotta say
the
on that too.
I got a lot on the Cavs still. I got a lot on the Heat. And then I got a lot on the next segue into that. The Cavs are still frauds. I hear you, Raphael. They beat us by 20 or 30, but I watched them beat a lot of teams this year by 20 or 30. And
No, look,
that's exactly why. And I'm not taking it away from you that we aren't still a lower level team. What I am saying is the Cavs, but how does the quote go? They are who we thought they were. And when the time
yes,
comes that they prove that, it will happen. As a
Some delayed
fan of the
inevitable.
Heat, as a fan of the Heat, 5 would do it for me. Like, elated to take 5. I also kind of see it in 6, just for us to push the boundary to make people go, "What's going on over there?"
Make them
Man,
sweat
the
a little
Heat,
bit. Make them
the
sweat a
Heat
little bit.
kind of putting it, just to make the Cavs sweat. I do see some abominable things happening in this series. Uh, as long as Eric Spoelstra doesn't get outcoached the entire series, I think we'll be fine. I think he's one of the best I've seen in years and years, and that's why Anthony alluded to. We're just not a normal team. I've seen him make the adjustments. I've seen him do the things that key in on the right place, the right time, the energy, the effort, being in the right places, making sure that, hey, let's double and trap here and keep this guy out of the perimeter, and let's just make sure we get rebounds and go take good shots. I think if we can still, like tonight, game 2, that would be really good because we go back home for 2 games, and if we can steal 1 or 2 of those, everybody knows what it's like to play in Wade County. Yes, I said Wade County. Playing
Yes.
down there in Wade County in the playoffs is still a very loud venue. It's still a very, very rambunctious bunch. They come, they show up in 100% capacity. So I don't see anything. If this series goes split and it goes to Miami, it'll be a different series.
I will say this, and I agree with you. I think that Cleveland's a fraud. And I agree with you that Miami is a better team than where they're seed. Like they play better than what the normal 8 seed would. And Eric Spoelstra is a phenomenal coach. I'm not taking that away from anybody. And if we get the 5, I'd be elated as a Heat fan because we did not have the best year at all. But if Cleveland gets by Miami,
It won't
they're
be
gonna
any
get
easier.
they're gonna get steamrolled because
It won't be any easier.
I think if Cleveland wins in 5, let's say Cleveland wins in 5, they go to the next round, they're going to have that mindset that every team's going to be just like the Heat.
And it's not going to be anywhere near like that.
And I'm telling you right now, you have teams here that are playing tough basketball that are nowhere near the way the Heat are at all. And their record says it, and the way they're playing says it.
Yeah.
You know, and
Go
ahead and transit because it's the game that you wanted to talk about, Dre.
Yeah. And so, I used that caveat to kind of catapult me into my next spot is that, we talked a couple years ago. Me and Anthony actually talked about this again last night offline. We talked about what would happen right now if Jimmy Butler was still on this team, and any one of those trades in particular would have been successful. We watched 2 teams play last night that involved a player from actually 2 players that were rumored to be in Miami right now, and Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard. And before I transition into that series, which I completely think is just going to be a sweep, it won't even be close, and you'll see 2 players probably get out of there. I want to talk about, for just a second, everything that Miami kept instead of losing in that trade. We still got Tyler Hero. We still got Nikola Jovic. We still got Triple J. We still got a lot of stuff going on to where it makes it really easy. You want to say hey?
Hey, Lonnie.
So we got a lot of things. We got Khalil Ware. We got 2 first-round picks this year. So it makes it really, really easy for us to look forward to the future. And that's kind of why, like I talked about with Memphis, lick your wounds. Go ahead and move on. Find a way to make it better of a bad situation. But Miami is. That's why I'm not worried about this series. That's why I'm not worried about right now. We kept an all-star. We kept our all-star in Bam. We kept three potential rookies that we would not have right now. We have nothing to panic over.
We're in a better position for next year by a long shot, and all we need to do is bring 1 star player in that's worth the money that we would pay them.
And so I said all that to allude to how the Bucks and Pacers series is going, and what I think that means for the future of the Bucks more than I think of the Pacers. The Bucks are struggling. They don't have Chris Middleton anymore. If I'm not wrong, Bobby Portis still hasn't returned. They don't really have. They don't have.
I think he had a good game. Game 1. I don't think he had a better game last night. Yeah.
Nonetheless, they have no depth. They don't have the coach right now that's going to push them over the top. Giannis, no matter how hard he plays or how good he is, him and Dame just aren't enough.
They old.
And Dame's injured.
They're old.
Dame's injured.
And Dame's hurt.
They're old for 1. Yes. And 2.
So
they have no young guys to depend on for 2 and 3. They have no other third star. Like, what the hell? Excuse my language, but what the hell y'all thought Kyle Kuzma was going to do? He got free cardio in the first game. Long live Tony Snell. We can finally put him to rest. Kyle Kuzma is the most recent one to go out there and just run around on the court. Like, we could, like Rafael Lucha with the fans in the stand. We could have came and did. They had more points than me, and I was sitting on my couch. So, but yeah, so it's just like, and like I said many episodes ago, I'm talking like we had episodes. I think it was within the first 2 episodes. I wouldn't be surprised if Giannis pulls the Kareem, or the team saves him from himself, so he won't be loyal by fault and be like, hey, big guy, where would you like to go? We're just gonna get you out of here. We need some capital back.
Get as much capital as they can get out of him.
That can
Somebody's
use him.
gonna give it up.
And we can set up. Magic and Kareem Showtime 2.0, but that's just me, and that's just my pipe dream and my wishful thinking. But I do see a future to where Milwaukee just be like, hey, I'll take our that championship we won back in 21, the first championship in 50 years, and that's recent. So I'll take that and be like, all right, big guy, where you want to go now? As for Dame, he's a little bit older, like, so what can we really do with Dame? He can't play, he's not good
And you gotta
defensively.
and you gotta see what his contract is right now to even be able to see what you can do to make anything good out of a bad situation.
And
Yes.
his injury itself, blood clots are not
You
a
don't play with
quick
that.
healing thing.
Yeah.
When you have blood clots, that's life threatening. So you're looking at he's going to be out for a while.
Yeah, and he
And
came back and he's playing fine now, but I definitely see
you're
it, coming back to head eventually.
you're also playing against Tyrese Halliburton, who is money for Indianapolis, and they're probably one piece away from
They got to
being
get some guys
serious
to play
contenders.
defense. That's all. They got to get that defense to match their offense. They don't need to be. Oh yeah, they don't need to be top 5. But can y'all at least be a fringe top 10 defensive team? Because you got the offense.
That's what I'm saying.
That's all.
They're missing one key piece there to sit there and make them perennial contenders every year. And I like Halliburton. I think he's entertaining. I think he's great with the basketball. And I don't see Milwaukee just hang it up and start rebuilding, start making your plans to rebuild for the next 2 years, because Giannis is going to get fed up if not traded. And Dame Lillard is a hit or miss because those blood clots will come back. I wanted to talk also about the Celtics and Magic,
Let's
which
do
I
it.
think is also
Oh
another.
man, really,
The
really good series.
Celtics. I hate to say it, I mean, and because being a Miami fan, it's hard to say anything good about Boston, but
Facts.
I mean they're gonna
Facts.
they're gonna repeat though. I mean it's
Yeah, they
hard
are.
it's hard to see. They're gonna repeat in the East. They're gonna repeat champions in the East. I think when they go up against OKC, it's gonna be tough. But in the East, it's hard to see anybody, to include the Cavaliers, playing Boston and Jason Tatum, who's balling out and stopping them, because now Tatum's getting hot. He had a triple double the last game, and you're looking at 103 to 86 win. I mean, against the Magic, and nothing against the Magic. I think they're also a couple key pieces away from being higher ranked. The Magic are a very tough,
I think they might need to
hard-nosed
pull
basketball
a
team.
Cleveland. They might need to pull a Cleveland. They might need to do what Cleveland did, getting rid of bigger staff or winning coach. Jamal Mosley's a good coach, but Mosley's a good coach. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead and
They might
upgrade
need to,
to the
so
coach that
you
you
can
actually need.
move into the top 3, top 4, or of the East.
Yeah.
And I think as far as the Celtics, I think a playoff series goes as the Celtics dictated, because we could see, like, at one time they played the Hawks. That series went 6 games for no reason. So we can kind of see the Celtics, like, all right, even in the final, they could have swept the Mavs last year, but hey, they won in 5 games. So it's just like,
toy with them.
sometimes
They toy with them.
play with the food.
And I'm gonna tell you why I'm okay with that. I'm so okay with that because I'm loving the spotlight that Paolo Banchero is getting right now. Being able to see Paolo Banchero on the big screen, I think again, I was just kind of looking on my watch. They play tonight on TNT, and it is hilarious to me because the Heat and Cavs are on NBA TV tonight. I'm a Heat fan. The Magic are our rivals, but I love that for Paolo Banchero because we've gotten to see him kind of quietly take the league by storm. One of those LeBron James-esque players, kind of has that same similar build, same
More like a
size,
Melo,
everything like
more like a
that.
Melo, in my opinion.
Yeah, like a Carmelo Anthony.
But he really has all the tools to take this league by storm. Kind of highlighting some of our younger guys right now in the playoffs is far more important to me than seeing our top teams continue to do what we know they're going to do. So anything for me in that series to stretch it out a little bit.
I think Boston's gonna outpower them at some point. But to your point, Dre, I think the Magic are just a couple pieces away. They're 2 pieces away from really being solidified contenders.
Too many
to give
right now.
yeah. Well, right now for this year, but you're looking at next year they make a couple moves, give Banchero some help, and you're looking at a pretty solid team because they played pretty well this year and they're in the playoffs. The next series, that I think is probably the best series in the East is going to be the Knicks and the Pistons. You're talking about two hard-nosed teams.
Scrappy. Oh man. And
If a
that's
fight doesn't break out, then that's a win, right? Like
I'll go
that's
even further. I feel like that's a 1A, 1B to the
yes,
Denver Clippers series. Honestly, I feel like those are the
yes.
two best series
That's the two best
on
series
both
happening
sides.
right now. Yes.
Yeah,
listen,
Yes.
who's impressed me so far is Jalen Brunson, averaging 35 and a half points a game in the first
Yep.
two games.
Yep.
I mean, he's
Yeah,
been putting it on their back, but Detroit plays defense, and defense wins championships.
And every single time.
If you had this defense with Nico Harris in Dallas, I mean, he'd be elated. You know what I'm saying? He would be.
Kay Cunningham too. You know.
Yeah.
Hey, that's just another story for another day. But yeah.
But if you're looking back, the games are close. The Pistons are tough, and the Knicks are even tougher because it's kind of like the grit that they play with from the cities that they're from, right? Like Detroit's a hard-nosed city, New York's a hard-nosed city. They're used to playing really tough sport, and the Knicks are playing really good offensive basketball to oppose. And it's like the styles make fights in the UFC, right? And the Detroit Pistons are playing phenomenal defense. You just got to pray you stop Jalen Brunson on the right side.
Another guy that needs to be more assertive. You know, we always talk about this with Cat. It's sometimes it seems like he just takes nights off, games off. 10 points. They brought you in to elevate this team. You're the number 2 guy. Like we need you to be a little bit more assertive, Cat. But yes, the Pistons. You know, and then I wouldn't be surprised. Another hot take. I'm on the roll. The Holy Trinity, the trifecta. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pistons actually win this series. So
I wouldn't be either. I think this one's going to probably go to 7 as well.
Yeah, this is
just because how tough they play. But to that point for the next round, because they're playing tough, what are the injuries going to be, and how are they going to rack up, and how fatigued are they going to be when they go into the second round? Because that's going to play a factor.
Yeah, they'll face Boston in the second round. Yeah,
that's going to play a factor against Boston, especially who might come off of a 5-game. Series.
I love
got a little rest.
I love Kay. I love Isaiah Stewart. I love the Thompson twin that plays there. I love everything that they're doing in Detroit.
Even Tobias Harris is, refound himself not being in Philly anymore. I don't know what it is about Philly, but
Knicks in 6, man. Knicks in 6. Yeah, man.
I
dare not come on this podcast today and disrespect one of my great friends. He has done a lot to educate me and give me plenty of announcement about what the New York Knicks have to offer and what they bring. And hey, as long as number 13,
that was y'all rival in the 90s. That was y'all rival in the 90s, man.
But as long every time number 13 steps on the floor, he's just like 30, baby. He's gonna light it up.
I'll throw the hot take out on this one. I'm going to say Detroit in 7.
I can dig it. But this is the only series I see throughout the whole playoffs that's going to go 7 games. And speaking of playoffs, we're going to segue into the National Hockey League. Shout out to the Great 8 Ovi. They're up 1-0 right now in their series. He just scored his first overtime goal the other night. You know, he's continuing to make history for himself. So I think who's in the first round?
They got the Montreal Canadiens.
Oh, the Canadiens. Yeah.
Yep. And they're up 1-0, and they got their second game tonight. And that I think Washington's just gonna steamroll them. I don't think Washington's gonna come up against any competition until they get to Florida. If you're asking me, I think the Florida's gonna sit there and take it against Tampa Bay, and it's hard because it's hard because now Florida's got Kachuk back and they got Marchand. And they're playing really good hockey right now. So I'm looking at the Florida Panthers, and I'm thinking the Florida Panthers are gonna take the East on that one.
No. We got the Oilers and Kings, and then the Stars, Avalanche. Go Stars! I'm being out here in Dallas, so I'm gonna ride with the Stars. I think
Stars and Avalanche are tied. That's gonna be a good one. The Jets are winning. They're leading the series, but I think the team in the West that I think is going to take it is probably the Golden Knights, and I'm a Golden Knights fan because that's where I lived for a long time, and I saw them start up.
They came in first year World Series off rip already. I was like, well, damn, an expansion team already making it to the Stanley Cup. That was crazy.
And they've been in the playoffs every year, and right now they're looking like they're playing really good hockey, and they're going to be hard to beat.
And didn't they win
Dallas
recently?
is playing well.
I want to say
They're up 1-0. They're up against the Minnesota Wild 1-0. And nothing. And all respect to the Minnesota
it's actually
Wild
tied.
because
I'm looking at it right now. It's actually tied. It's one apiece with
is it one
Minnesota.
apiece?
Yeah, it's one apiece.
Okay, because it
And
says
the
game
Jets are
2's tonight.
2-0. Winnipeg is 2-0 on St. Louis. Poor Toronto, the Maple Leafs, a cursed
I,
franchise. They're 2-0
I
on
still don't. I
Ottawa.
still don't think. I still don't think Minnesota has enough. And I still like. And I like Marc-Andre Fleury. But I think that he's going to be sent off into the sunset and
He's been in the
by his old
he's
team.
been around for a long. That's one of those things. I grew up here, so yeah, he's been around a long. But that's
I mean, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for the NHL that we could touch on right now.
we'll be back.
So some of the other
NFL
games.
drafts up tomorrow. Y'all got any? We gonna touch a little bit. We ain't gotta do a whole lot because we're gonna do a whole. But do we got any wild predictions that's gonna happen in the draft? Any shakeups within the top 5? Is Shadur Sanders gonna be a Saint or is he gonna be a Giant? He's gonna be anywhere. Maybe a Cleveland Brown. Do we got anything like that?
My mind is made up, man. With the number 9 pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints will disappoint me again. You thought
Draft
I was gonna say Shador Sanders. It is 24 hours before the draft, and I am a New Orleans Saints fan.
Man, I'm nervous too. Right at 12, I might flip this whole set over if the Cowboys don't draft. If Ashton Jitsi falls to 12, I'm gonna be happy if we don't take one of these good receivers with that 12th pick. Something like that. I might flip this set over. There I go.
I don't got too much on the draft, man.
I'll give you a hot take for the draft. I'll give you a hot take for the draft on this one. Shador Sanders will go to the Steelers at 20.
I actually
or
agree
21.
with that. I actually agree that he's gonna fall.
And Jackson Dart will be a New Orleans Saint.
I actually agree with that as well. And it's not going to be because we took him at 9. This is why I say that I think that we're not going that route. We just had an offensive tackle retire in a very tackle heavy draft with a lot of really, really elite level tackles. The New Orleans Saints are about to beef their O-line back up. And they're about to trade one of those extra picks that we have later in the second or the third and trade up and take Jackson Dart. And actually, what I think, Raphael, if for some reason Shador does so happen to slip past 9 and the Saints are able to secure a trade for a pick before the Steelers, I still think that Shador Sanders may end up in black and gold again.
Never know. You never know.
So,
that's why it's exciting for tomorrow, boys.
Y'all think
Yes,
Miro's
sir.
the first round? Y'all think Miro's? I ain't gonna say first round. Y'all
Hey,
think
man,
Miro's
all
day
right.
one pick?
Man, we like to thank y'all for showing up to today's episode of Let Me Say This. Tune in tomorrow, everybody, with the rifling Raphael Rhodes, the amazing Anthony Likes, and myself, Dre Davis. We're going
That's
to go
funny,
live
man.
tomorrow, y'all, man. I couldn't we're not going to spoil that for the fans, man. We're not going
Let
to
all
do that.
naysayers know. Let all naysayers know. The guy that's wearing the Alabama shirt does not think that you're a day one pick,
No,
Jalen Miro.
can't do
But
it, man.
thank y'all for
I'm not
tuning
there with
in.
it yet.
Like he said, we'll be back. We hope some of y'all join us, but we'll be dropping a link. So please come through and chat with us. And we'd like to hear your insights on the draft. Day one only, just day one. But then after that, we're going to recap the rest of the draft, see who made some surprising picks, see who made some steals of the draft, and see who reached. And we're signing out. Let me say this. Thank you.
Let me say this.